What is child abuse? Now, child abuse can be divided into two categories. Number one is the physical abuse, the other is the sexual abuse. Physical abuse means beating the child or even beating to the extent of causing the death, what we call as battered baby syndrome. So this is the physical abuse of the child. The second very large category of the child abuse is child sexual abuse. It is very important to take the help from the teachers and from the parents to detect child sexual abuse at the earliest, so that it doesn't progress further into a form of pediatric rapes or in the form of grievous injury to the children, because initially they start with minor sexual advances and slowly it can progress to even rapes and deaths. It is a very serious problem, and the other part of the serious problem is that it is hidden. Teachers and parents should have the knowledge, number one. Number two, they should have a high index of suspicion. High index of suspicion is required to detect for the children who probably might be targeted for child abuse. So that is also very important, that we should have a high index of suspicion, because child is not going to tell us. We should see certain signs in the children. I, as a pediatrician practicing for almost now 26 years, I have learned that the children who are suffering because of the child abuse, they exhibit some kind of behavior problems. They can have some kind of physical problems with which they will visit the doctors again and again. Physical problems can range from pain abdomen. They are just coming with pain in the abdomen, and you are finding nothing on examination, nothing on ultrasound, nothing on investigations, and the child is complaining of pain. So it is a kind of projection psychological mechanism in the child, that the child is complaining of pain abdomen, persistent vomiting, or the child is complaining of pain in the private parts. And at times the child will come to you when they are really a victim of child abuse. They will come to you with the bleeding of the private parts. So these are some of the symptoms. Whenever you feel that a child is withdrawn for no reason, child is not interacting much, child is little sad, and the child belongs to a family of a broken family maybe, one should have a high alert. These children are likely to be abused more frequently than the children who are from the stable families. The message is not that the children who are from stable families, they are immune to the menace of child abuse, but the message is that there are certain high index groups which we should be very carefully looking out for. So any high index group where you feel there is a family problem, where you feel the child is having persistent physical symptoms, persistent absenteeism from the school, and the child is withdrawn, is a little depressed, these are the kind of children we should go into them very carefully, and it is very difficult to take out the victims from the child abuse. It is very difficult to communicate to them also, because they will say nothing has happened, nothing is happening to us. So you need to have a high index of suspicion, and you need to be very, very communicative, not only to the child but also to the parents. We should monitor each and every minute of the child, whom the child is meeting, who is the person who has the access to the child, who is the person who is offering gifts to the child, what is the day schedule of the child, when is the time when your child is isolated with any male member, anybody, he can be anybody, he can be a uncle, he can be a mama, he can be a chacha. Abuser doesn't have any relational this thing. Abuser can be anybody. He can be a driver, he can be an employee, he can be a father for that extent, he can be a friend of the father, stepfather, uncles, or anybody. What are the long-term implications of child sexual abuse? So besides the physical implications of getting the injuries, bruises, or abrasions or injuries to the private parts. It is also the psychological, emotional, and behavioral problems. All these three things are little different. Behavioral problems in the long run. Now it has been found the children who throw tantrums, who have borderline personality disorder, or who have other personality disorders, or who are abusers of maybe alcohol or drugs, or who have neurotic traits of maybe morbid depression, morbid obsession, or various psychiatric diagnoses. It has been found that these are much more likely to occur in the children who have been abused to a significant degree, because almost 53% of the children are abused, and it all depends upon the grade of abuse or the frequency of abuse and the time period of abuse. At times it is very sad that the abuse may last the whole childhood, maybe for the whole 10 years or 12 years, because the abuser is a frequent visitor and is a trusted family member. So it is very important that how much duration the abuse has lasted, what is the grade of abuse, and the implication of these things on the future psychological impacts on the child. So if we stop the abuse at the earliest possible stage, probably we are going also to stop these psychological and emotional disturbances later in the life. What we can do to prevent the child sexual abuse, because ultimately prevention is better than cure. So how we can go to prevent the child sexual abuse? Now, for the prevention of child sexual abuse, we need to address this issue at various levels. It should be addressed at a family level, where even the grandparents should be involved, anybody in the family should be involved. Number two, at the school level is very important, because the child spends about 7 to 8 hours in the school, which is almost more than half the day they spend in the house. So it is the teachers, it is the doctors, the pediatricians. So it involves the variety of people and the society at large. Parents should be very, very communicative on the other aspects of the child also. They should also be monitoring a visual watch on the child, who are the friends, where the child goes to play. And most of the parents are working these days, so when they are going for a work, who are the people who are meeting the child? And the parent should also be very, very careful, and the parent should tell the teachers also at school, or more so at daycare centers or crutches, about the phenomena of child abuse happening everywhere. So even in the crutches or in daycare centers, there are good opportunities for the abusers to find their victims and exploit them. So it is very important for the parents to go into the depth, to go into the communication with the child, and to form an emotional tie with the child, where the child can share everything with the father or with the mother. More so, the children are more close to the mother. Almost 90% of the things can be solved by just knowing about it. If you don't know how to prevent dengue fever, or if you don't know how to prevent malaria, or if you don't know how to prevent a waterborne disease, you will probably not be preventing also. Our eyes will see only what our mind knows. So what you can do is, like we had a wonderful session, you can have sessions with the parents also, where they can ask interactive questions. I can assure you, if you have session of 200 parents with you, almost not less than 10% of them, the mothers, will go home and will probably catch hold of the abuser. It is so common. The mother can see, there is one uncle who is coming, who is taking him to the market. They come after 2 hours, who is taking him to the park. What are they doing in the park? And the child is always coming happy with a chocolate in the hand. So many things. So what I mean to tell you is that it is very important to give the counseling in groups, having interactive sessions. There are certain social issues. At times the mother knows the child is being abused by the father also. At times these are some of the situations where it is very difficult. The mother is dependent on the father. Children are dependent on the father. Father is very aggressive, abusive, or maybe into substance abuse. So these are, and the mother is docile by personality. So these are some of the things which are social issues which can be solved out with very skilled counseling. To summarize the thing, we need to have a high index of suspicion. We need to percolate this message in the society. We need to know the exact nature of the abuser, how the abuser is like, and we need to have skilled interviews with children or their parents if we really want to detect the deep hidden, this is a deep hidden problem of child abuse. So it is not a thing which is going to come on the surface with one interview. This is a deeply hidden thing which only a skilled counselor can get it out from the parents or surroundings. Thank you very much.